We all know the power of a good revenge story, where those who have endured years of abuse finally take a stand. Remember the story of the 4 weak lepers in the Bible, who caused an entire army to flee and plundered their property. Today, we're witnessing a similar saga, but in a different context. This time we are the army, and these little, white crystals, called sugar, that we make ourselves, are the lepers. They are mastering courage to destroy a people so smart. A generation that has reached the cosmos and making cutting-edge technology, but not so heart-smart. Unfortunately, sugar has us locked down with untold number of deadly diseases. It is the revenge of the lepers. Sugar's sweat revenge. We will discuss 10 ways sugar destroys your heart and how added sugar has become the #1 enemy of our survival, and why there seems to be no end in sight. But before we proceed, please remember that this video is for education purposes only. It is not intended to treat any disease or replace your doctor's advice. Let's talk about the sugar-coated deception. Our tale begins with a deceptive allure: sugar. It's a treat for the taste buds, but little do we know, it harbors a dark secret. Numerous studies have highlighted the link between excessive sugar intake and heart disease. The overconsumption of added sugars is associated with an increased risk of obesity, type 2 diabetes, and high blood pressure, all significant contributors to heart disease. Excess sugar also promotes inflammation and oxidative stress in the body, further damaging the cardiovascular system. We will explain this in more detail. Let's begin with the hidden saboteur, excessive fructose. Fructose, the hidden saboteur, often lurks in sugary beverages and processed foods, quietly wreaking havoc on our heart health. As in the case of the lepers who got divine help and won over a stronger army, sugar is getting great help from a determined ally, the food and beverage industry. They are arming sugar and helping sugar adapt to new ways that make it hidden, yet versatile, and even more deadly. One such way is the adaptation of high fructose corn sugar, their new weapon of mass destruction. When we consume high fructose corn syrup, it rapidly raises blood sugar levels due to its high fructose content. This prompts the pancreas to release insulin to help transport glucose into cells. However, chronic exposure to high levels of fructose can lead to overproduction of insulin, which can desensitize cells to its signals. Also, excessive fructose consumption can lead to increased fat accumulation in the liver, a condition known as non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. This fatty liver can interfere with insulin's ability to regulate blood sugar levels effectively. That's not all, folks. Thanks to sugar's ally in the food industry, the sweet revenge gets even more sinister. Check this out. High fructose corn sugar also contributes to increased visceral fat, the type of fat that accumulates around abdominal organs. This visceral fat is known to release inflammatory substances that can further exacerbate insulin resistance. As if these aren't bad enough, high fructose corn sugar can disrupt the balance of hunger and satiety hormones, potentially leading to overeating and weight gain. Have you noticed how difficult it is to stop eating sugary foods when you start? That's their weapon of mass destruction at work. Like the lepers, the sweet revenge has a divine ally in the food and soft drink industry. In short, when we consume too much fructose, often in the form of high fructose corn syrup, the liver metabolizes it into harmful substances like triglycerides and uric acid. Elevated levels of these compounds can lead to insulin resistance, obesity, and ultimately, heart disease. If you're finding value in this video, don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Now let's consider sugar's inflammatory onslaught. As our tale unfolds, we encounter the relentless attacker, chronic inflammation. It's sugar's loyal companion, launching an unrelenting assault on our arteries. Excessive sugar consumption triggers an inflammatory response in the body. This chronic inflammation damages the endothelial cells lining the blood vessels, paving the way for atherosclerosis and stiffening of arteries. The inflamed arteries become more susceptible to plaque buildup, narrowing arteries, and increasing the risk of heart attacks and strokes. Moving on to sugar and the cholesterol conundrum. Excessive sugar intake plays a significant role in disrupting our cholesterol balance, setting the stage for heart disease. High sugar consumption can lead to elevated levels of triglycerides, a type of fat in the blood. Additionally, it can lower levels of high-density lipoprotein HDL cholesterol, the good cholesterol that helps remove excess cholesterol from the bloodstream. This imbalance in cholesterol levels contributes to atherosclerosis and increases the risk of heart disease. You see, from a mighty sweetened tongue to a sorrowful dying heart. That's the sweet revenge. What a sad picture. And that's not the end, another battle looms. Let's face sugar and the blood pressure battle. Excessive sugar is a major instigator, pushing our blood pressure to dangerous heights. High sugar intake leads to insulin resistance, which in turn prompts the body to produce more insulin. I'm sure you knew that, but watch this. This excess insulin can cause the kidneys to retain sodium, leading to higher blood pressure levels. Moreover, high sugar consumption leads to increased levels of uric acid in the body. Studies now suggest that high uric acid levels does not just cause gout, it also gouges your heart health by elevating your blood pressure. Over time, sustained high blood pressure can damage the arteries and increase the risk of heart disease. The sweet revenge is vicious. Let's now consider sugar in the vicious cycle of weight gain. Our protagonists find themselves trapped in the vicious cycle of weight gain. Excessive sugar consumption fuels this cycle, making escape seem impossible. Sugar-laden foods and beverages are often calorie-dense but lack essential nutrients. Consuming them regularly leads to excess calorie intake, which can contribute to obesity. Sugar usually packs the weight around the waistline. This leads to belly fat, a signature sign of hostage-taking by excessive sugar consumption. This increases the risk of heart disease by promoting inflammation, insulin resistance, and other metabolic abnormalities. A menace often called metabolic syndrome. There's no end in sight when it comes to the sweet revenge of these little crystals. Talking about no end in sight, let's consider the sinister role of added sugars. They disguise themselves in numerous processed foods, leaving us unsuspecting victims of their harmful effects. They are carefully choreographed dancers in several unsuspecting meals. Some of which don't even taste sweet, but champ, believe me, they are there. They are used to tame your tongue, but don't be fooled, it's the sweet revenge. Though unseen, as with the lepers, their impact makes an army flee. Added sugars, such as sucrose and high fructose corn syrup, are prevalent in a wide range of processed foods. From sugary snacks to salad dressings, courtesy of the food and beverage industry. These hidden sugars contribute to excessive calorie intake, weight gain, and metabolic disturbances, all of which elevate the risk of heart disease. That takes us to sugar and the insulin insurrection. It is what I call the insulin insurrection, or the insulin resistance insurgence. The insulin resistance insurgence takes center stage. Excessive sugar consumption leads the charge, making our cells less responsive to insulin's vital signals. Frequent and high sugar intake can lead to insulin resistance, a condition in which cells no longer respond effectively to insulin. This forces the pancreas to produce more insulin to regulate blood sugar levels. Elevated insulin levels can lead to inflammation, oxidative stress, and other metabolic disruptions that contribute to heart disease. Insulin resistance may eventually lead to type 2 diabetes. The insulin insurrection or insurgence will not stop unless excess sugar consumption stops. So then, the body will self-destruct with impending diseases like diabetes and heart disease resulting from insulin insurgence. Now let's consider sugar and the endothelial erosion. Our heroes face the challenge of endothelial erosion. Excessive sugar intake relentlessly erodes the inner lining of our blood vessels, setting the stage for heart disease. This damage impairs the endothelium's ability to regulate blood pressure, blood clotting, and inflammation, all of which are crucial for heart health. Over time, this erosion contributes to the development of atherosclerosis, a common mantra of the sweet revenge. Moving on to sugar and the platelet rebellion. Our tale nears its climax with the platelet rebellion. Excessive sugar consumption triggers a rebellion within our bloodstream, setting off a cascade of events that can lead to heart disease. High sugar intake can lead to increased platelet aggregation and adhesion, making blood more prone to clotting. This elevated clotting tendency raises the risk of blood clots forming in the arteries, potentially leading to heart attacks and strokes. The sweet revenge gets sticky in this rebellion. Folks, our heroes triumph over sugar's destructive reign. You could be the one person that defies sugar and its allies. In our story, knowledge becomes the ultimate weapon against sugar's assault on our health. By understanding these mechanisms, we empower ourselves to make HeartSmart choices, including paying close attention to food labels, avoiding processed food, and others to safeguard our cardiovascular well-being. Thank you for joining us on this journey to protect our hearts. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this vital information with your loved ones.